This time we're going to look at a Panasonic DVD recorder. This is a DMREH50, and the complaint is it goes through the self-test and then goes back to initializing, and then goes back to the self-test and then goes back to initializing and never boots up. So I'm thinking right away power supply problem on this. Let's see whether we can get this one going. Coming right up on Tech Talk. This is a Panasonic DMREH50 that was brought in for service. It was brought in with the top cover removed like this. And apparently it has a power problem. Yeah, we see some popped caps here right away. And it looks like one that's not even soldered down. The guy that owns it spotted that. But this one here apparently is not starting up properly. We're going to try and get this one running. And yeah, a cap on the board. Looks like it. Actually, this looks like one that somebody replaced. And rather than pull the board out, they just clipped the old one off and tried to tack another one right onto the pins in service. Probably the reason they did it was they didn't want to remove the whole board to change the cap out. But we have bulge caps here in the power supply that definitely need to be changed out before anything else gets done on this. There is enough of a pin there that I can resolder that on, so I think what I'm going to do is, rather than pull the board, I don't want to pull the board out if I don't have to, because I don't want to risk causing any damage to anything. And these units here have a battery on them to back up memory, so you can't disconnect the battery. It's not just backing up the clock, it's also backing up some firmware on here. So you don't want to have to start taking the board out on these unless you have to. So I'm going to tack this cap back down. We'll pull the power supply out and recap the power supply and see what happens. Because that definitely, these ones here, these ones are toasty. Apparently it's just initializing over and over. Just waiting for my soldering iron to warm up. And then we'll tack this cap back down. Now, I know some of you are going to squawk about that and say it's not a proper way to repair it. That's your opinion, okay? Many repairs in shops were done that way. Lots. Because if it can save you from removing a circuit board, especially one that's got multiple grounds on it, you don't want to remove the board unless you absolutely have to. First of all, to remove the board, you got to strip everything off of it, right? You got to pull the hard drive out. Again, it's things that you really don't want to have to go down that road unless you absolutely have to. Power supply can be unplugged on this one, just like this, and then we can remove the power supply. I rebuilt the power supply on my own unit. I had, I think it was the IC here, was what went out of my, well, it was the IC, but I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was that one. It was a while ago that I fixed mine. And mine's worked fine ever since. Okay, power board out. Yeah, it looks like somebody's been soldering on this too, doesn't it? These caps that are bad are 2200 microfarad at 16 volts. Let's see what I have. Both of these caps look like they've been changed before, but they're both They're both popped. You can see the top is bulging on this one and these two. They're 2200 at 16. I don't have two of them. I've got one 2200 at 25, and I'll put two 1000 at 35 in parallel. That'll get me 2000 microfarads, so it'll be like 200 microfarads shy, but that shouldn't be a problem. So we'll swap these out and see whether that gets this thing running. I'll have to make a trip in and pick up some more caps when I get some time off work next week. I'll put that one here, and these other two I'm going to parallel them. When you parallel a capacitor, you add the capacities together. So two 1000 in parallel will give you 2000. Positive leads and negative leads and wrap them together to form a parallel connection that will double the capacity. I mean, I could put another 220 in here if I really felt that it was going to benefit, but only being off by a couple hundred microfarads is not going to cause it to not work. That's like the old LG plasma TV that a number of years ago I put five 1000s in parallel to get up to the capacity that the original ones were, because I didn't have one. And all these years later, that TV still works and probably has lower ESR than the original two caps that had two 3300s in it, and I replaced them with a bunch just to get to the same value. So again, we'll put these ones down here. I should have thought that through. They'll fit in here. It's just I should have tied them the other way, just so that the extra one would be sitting more over this way. But that's okay. They'll fit in here. It's not going to short anything out. The caps will sit in here quite nicely. If you look at these two ones that came out of here, let's look at the ESR on them. Obviously they're bad because the top on them is bulging up a bit. That generally indicates that they're popped. But let's just for the heck of it, just see what the ESR was looking like on these. 1.9 ohms. It looks a little bit high for a 3300. 0.6, okay, that one's not so bad, but 4700 at 16 should be, you know, no worse than 0.2, and a 1000 no worse than 0.09. So 0.2, it should be somewhere between there, between 0.09 and 0.2. Well, let's short the leads together to make sure we're zeroed out here. So 0.49, 0.4, yeah, it's a little high, and this other one here is, yeah, that was real high. So 1.4. So these ones are, the ESR is bad on these two. They're definitely bad. And I mean, you can tell by looking at them that the tops themselves look to be, I don't know how it comes across on camera, but definitely these ones look like they're ready to vent. As does this other one right here. This one here also is going to go bad. So we'll pull this one and we'll swap this one out as well. Looks like this has been changed too. All three of these have been changed. Looks like all the caps on the board have been changed and they've gone bad again. This one is a 680 at 10, and I should have a 680. I believe I got a 680 in here. Well, I don't have a 680, so I'm going to make a 680 by putting a 470 and a 220 in parallel. That will get me to 690, which will be close enough. So same thing, we'll just bend the leads together and solder the caps together. And then pop the cap in place. Again, polarity is important, but see, we got lots of room here because there's nothing for it to touch. There's no other components there, so we can get away with this. No problem. Okay, the caps have been replaced. Reinstall the board and power it up and see whether it does anything different. It wasn't initializing before, was the complaint. Oh, this other one too, if we look at the ESR on this one, I'm sure that we'll find the ESR is just off the end of the scale here. So zero out the meter. This is 680. 6 point, what did it say? 6.3 ohms, 6.4 ohms. So 680 will be between a 470 and a 1000 at 10 volts. Should be like between 0.12 and 0.24. So ESR is 5.6 ohms. It's bad, and there's a good chance that that's all that was ailing this machine, because that would cause the voltages to be incorrect and there'd be excessive ripple. And when the unit is trying to initialize, it would cause problems. Put the power supply back in, put the screws in, and then try it out and see whether that will fix this one. And there's a good chance that it will make this unit work. Now I'm saying this just because I've worked on these units in the past, and those are typically the three caps that cause that symptom. So even without seeing them bulging like that, that was a dead giveaway, but those were the three I was thinking of because I have had them go bad on these units in the past. As I say, this isn't my first rodeo with these units. My eagle is back. There he is. Hear a chirp. So time to power this one up. And I see please wait on the display, which is dark as anything because they're all dark. Mine's dark too. The VFD on all of these units was defective. And please wait. Initializing. Okay. Self-test. That's a good sign. Now, I have to find a remote control to work this thing. And I just happen to have one. I remember how to work this thing. The TV guide button and get rid of the TV guide. And is there anything coming up on the hard drive? Oh, look. I see programming. I see programming. Let's see if it plays. I believe that indicates that it's playing. Excellent. Corvid pictures? I mean, not COVID pictures? Okay, I gotta stop it because we're gonna cause a problem if we run that. Go back to the disk navigator. I believe that this machine is working. We'll try a DVD in the drive and make sure that the DVD drive works, but the hard drive works. So I'll switch it to the DVD drive. I'm going to put my Abbotsford Airshow disc on. Recorded on a DMREH50. This was my recording test disc when I repaired my E20 there a few months back. I can play this all day long. Whoa! This is just a straight raw footage. Raw footage from the air show. I think this air show have actually got online on my channel, but I've edited it. This was the raw footage. This was taken off of, I don't know what it was taken off of. It might have been taken off of a Super VHS tape or something. And was dumped onto a DVD, and then the DVD was then edited. So this is the raw footage of shots that I got while I was at the air show. Just taking some shots, unedited. As you can see, the version that's on my channel is totally different than what you see here. These were cutaway shots, right? I was shooting cutaway shots at the beginning before the show started so that I could drop cutaway shots in. Anyway, there's that one. That was Airshow 88. How about Airshow 85? Let's see how that one. This one should be edited. I think this is the edited version of this one. This looks like this was recorded on a Toshiba. It was. Notice the picture quality was better on the Panasonic. This was recorded on Beta. And this might be the raw footage too, actually. This was recorded on a Beta, and it was recorded on a tube camera. You can tell from the lag.
Come on, the 3 Mark 260 aircraft of Team America. Chuck Lisher
Anyway, that's working. Excellent. Going back to the hard drive. Top menu. There it is. It's all working. High speed. And skip. Where's my skip button on here? Commercial skip, right? Power off. There you go. DMREH50 Panasonic power supply repair. So I swapped out two 2200 microfarad caps. I went with one 2200 and two 1000s in parallel. That gets me close enough, right? That gets me close. That gets me to 4200 instead of 4400 microfarads. Close enough. And I replaced it with a 470 and a 220 in parallel. That gets me up to, sorry, 680. That gets me up to 690. So we're good. Perfectly acceptable repair. That somebody had done that in the past. They did it the lazy way. They just nipped off the old one and tacked the new one on. Again, it's a procedure that was widely done in the service industry. I've done it hundreds of times when I can't be bothered to pull the board out because of first of all, the amount of work to take the board out, but the main reason for not doing it is why put the board at risk of damage removing it. That's the main reason that you do it this way. Because this has got a big chip here soldered under the board. You can see the heat that thing's producing. This is the big board, and when you lift the board out, you could flex the board and you could sever connections. You could crack solder connections and stuff. So if you don't have to take a board out, you don't take the board out. You cut the old part out and you tack the new one in. I learned that from an engineer. That unless you have to take the board out, try not to. You just run less risk that you're going to damage it. Fixed up now, good to go. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.